these creatures, these fears, these anxieties, these individual things live to exist to usurp you. And they'll use anyone and anything to even probably literally to expose themselves as they actually are inevitably. Once we close our eyes, if we haven't done a good job of avoiding them in our present state. What do you do to protect yourself? How does fear transmit? Well, fear transmits through ignorance. Ignorance by accepting things that are not already part of you, accepting bad habits, alcohol, drugs, and sex, and anything else that these are the oldest because they come from the earth in so one way or form. They come out of and are on and our material. They come from the earth. They originate. They are the original gateway addictions enslave. How does addiction enslave? Addiction is a chain that fear, the creatures of fear, use to bind you and control you, and pretty much use you and hurt you and cause you disease, cause you headaches and so forth. How do you protect yourself? You stop yielding to these things. You can do it. It is not simple because you must understand that the temptation or the resting or the laxing into the area of lust or drinking alcohol or because your friends are doing it. Defy these things because you only live once. And every single leader has, and every single decent, worthwhile, valuable to God or even to the devil, whether will or grace, has stood up and said something entirely different and has broken the chains of thought and has had, followers until individuals have broken those chains of thought or changed ideas or reiterated ideas or brought other points to light. Every single person has the absolute ability, understanding that every single fear, you do not have fear as a teenager, as a child, because you were not created with it. So, knowing that, it's important to augment these things, these graceful things. Okay, so what are these good things that you need? You absolutely, what's been taught in nearly every lasting religion, everything that's fought for it and being made confused over it, it's purity. What is purity? Is full-blown abstinence from anything that can have a negative effect on the part of you, the part of you that connects to God. Anything that dulls or shrouds that Christly sense. Anything that basically you can feel Christ when you're young, and people feel it less when they're older because they've indulged or let their senses get dull. They can retain their virginity because virginity is as much a spiritual state of being. You can grow that part back. That equilibrium. Equilibrium is the Christ. Equilibrium. What people pray or do yoga, willful mind, so forth. They're trying to imitate it. It is the part of you that reminds you that you were created by a divine mind, by some divine, a good divine, graceful intelligence. It's that thing. It's a thing. It's what's painted in pictures. That halo represents, of course, as you know, the Christ, and the Christ creates for you equilibrium. Equilibrium is the symbol of health in your body. Equilibrium is a sense of control, calm, not willful control. Forget I said control. Control comes out. It is the sense of peace and a sense of containment in being. It's a niceness. It feels, even when you sleep and you wake, if you've abstained in a whole day or especially for a week or 3 days, you'll feel it. It's why people had in the past fasted, because there were more germs on food and so forth. It doesn't make a difference. And forget that. That's just nonsense. What's important to understand is that the Christ is that state of mind, and it's your perfect state of mind. It's your being. It's returning to yourself. It's the thing that identifies you with God. Christ literally is the band that holds you to God. It's like it's not so much a leash because the nature of a leash is in thought is too like a dog, but you're under control of some kind of master. It's not like that. It's a band. It's like it's a as Christians they say it's like your reflection or it's a sunlight. It's an emanation. It is you are the emanation. You are the reflection of God. You are the emanation from, and that Christ represents that. You are on earth. You are losing yourself when you are giving into fears, willpower of others, even your own willpower. You don't have any willpower. If you use willpower or you give into others' willpower or of any sort, if you give into mammon of any kind of antichrist, any kind of will, if you submit to fears, then you're loosening your own grasp of the Christ, and this is done a lot, and it's very, very bad. It's a very poor way to live. So continuing with what the Christ is, literally, the Christ is the thing that binds you. That binds you. The Christ literally is the thing that holds you up, holds you together. God did not create the spirit of fear. Fear creates disease. God gave you the spirit of health. God loves you, the God of love. It makes more sense, God being the God of love. God does not create illness. He did not give you a deformity. He did not create an illness. Getting into things like heredity and things like that, they're just old, as what people call, I guess, curses or something like that. Curses or just negative states of mind and being that were not conquered before conception of a child. Bad parents can have glorious looking children, but these particular parents are always willful. That's their daily state. They get up, they eat a willful breakfast willfully, they go to sleep, have willful sex, enjoy it in a willful manner. Sex is hard. If you ever had it, it's not automatically enjoyable. It's a Russian roulette of enjoyment, or enjoyment is marginal. Disease, at the very least, heartbreak, and there's just more problems involved with sex than anything good. But if you were not lured to destroy yourself, if you're not lured to get into this car crash, this train wreck of relationships, then if there was no temptation to get into it, then disease would not exist. Now, this is why this is important to understand why sex, why willpower is bad, why these two things, why fear equally is also bad. These things are what does the devil try to do? What is mortal mind? What is air, animal, magnetism try to do? But imitate the works of mind, divine mind, God. Willfulness, fear, mammon, do its damnedest to imitate the works of God. And the more you practice purity, abstinence, and one more thing I'm going to tell you is absolutely important for making these things work. The main thing, actually, the more you do these things, the more you practice willpower. The more you practice these bad things, these willful, subjective, or states of mind. These not even state of mind. These subjective influences work their damnedest to imitate the works of God. And they imitate them as they can on earth to a T. It's called worldly knowledge. They don't know what God is thinking any more than your friend, than your so-called friends with their drugs and their sex and alcohol know you. It's a matter of changing your identity, not to fix you in, but so much to subjugate, to control you as an individual. When you're young, you do have your whole life ahead of you. You don't have to be afraid of not getting a girl. The fear of emasculation at 17 or 16 is ridiculous because you can't get married, at least in this country. That old person